World's most beautiful places you must see before you die. There's a moment, maybe you've felt it, when you stand somewhere on this earth and your brain simply stops. Not because it's tired, because it doesn't know what to do with what it's seeing. Scientists actually have a name for it. They call it the overview effect. But you don't need to go to space to feel it. You just need to find the right place on the ground. Most people go their entire lives without ever having that moment. A few chase it across every continent on Earth. Today, we're going to show you 7 places that do this to the human mind. And by the end, you're going to understand exactly why your brain reacts the way it does when beauty gets this extreme. Here's the thing nobody tells you about the world's most beautiful places. It's not really about postcards. It's not about checking a box on a list before you die. It's about the fact that certain places on this planet do something specific to the human nervous system. They make you feel small and infinite at the exact same time. So here's the question this film is going to chase across 5 continents. What does it actually take for a place to leave a permanent mark on someone who sees it? Because, as you're about to find out, it's rarely just the view. The mirror that shouldn't exist. Start in Bolivia, at 3,600 meters above sea level, where the sky and the ground have essentially merged into one. This is the Salar de Uyuni, the largest salt flat on Earth. 10,000 square kilometers of blinding white crust left behind when a prehistoric lake evaporated thousands of years ago. But that's not the part that stops people mid-sentence. After a rainfall, a thin sheet of water settles across the salt, and the entire landscape becomes a mirror. Clouds float beneath your feet. Horizons disappear. People walking toward you look like they're walking on air. Pilots have described flying over it and, for a split second, losing all sense of which way is up. And yet, as breathtaking as this illusion is, it's fragile. A few centimeters of water, gone with the wrong wind. Which means the exact moment you're seeing might never happen again, for anyone, ever. Which begs the question, what happens when beauty depends entirely on timing? The mountains that inspired a movie studio narrator now travel to a place so strange, filmmakers assumed audiences wouldn't believe it was real. So they used it as the blueprint for an alien world instead. Zhangjiajie in China. Thousands of quartzite sandstone pillars, some over 200 meters tall, rising straight out of dense forest like the earth simply forgot to finish sculpting itself. Locals have walked among these pillars for centuries. But it took millions of years of wind and water slicing through the stone, one grain at a time, to carve something this precise, without a single human hand involved. Stand at the base of one, and you feel it immediately. These aren't just tall rocks. They're older than the concept of tall even mattering. But here's what almost nobody knows before they visit. The fog you see in every photo isn't decoration. It's the reason these pillars are still standing at all. The ocean that never stopped creating. Drop into the waters of Raja Ampat, off the coast of Indonesia, and you enter what marine biologists quietly call the center of the universe, for coral at least. More than 1,500 islands. Over 75% of all known coral species on the planet, packed into one stretch of ocean. It sounds like an exaggeration until you're actually underwater, watching color move in every direction, watching a reef breathe like it's alive. Because it is. Scientists believe this region survived ice ages that wiped out coral elsewhere, because of currents that kept the water just warm enough, just steady enough for millions of years. In other words, you're not just looking at pretty fish, you're looking at survivors, and that idea, survival against the odds, is about to show up again in a much colder place. The sky that moves. Travel north now, past the tree line, into the Arctic Circle, where for centuries, entire cultures built their belief systems around a single event in the night sky, the Northern Lights. We know the science now. Solar particles colliding with the atmosphere, 60 miles above your head. But knowing the explanation does absolutely nothing to prepare you for standing underneath it. People who've seen it describe the same thing, almost word for word. The sky doesn't just glow, it moves. Green light folding over itself like fabric caught in slow wind, sometimes joined by violet, sometimes by red. Colors that shouldn't exist together, existing together anyway. Indigenous Arctic communities didn't see this as decoration either. Many believed it was the spirits of their ancestors, still moving, still watching. Which brings us to the one place on this list where beauty and grief are the exact same feeling. The island that evolved alone. Off the coast of Yemen sits an island so isolated, nearly a third of everything growing on it exists nowhere else on Earth. Socotra, home to the dragon's blood tree. A plant shaped like an inverted umbrella that bleeds a deep red resin when its bark is cut. For nearly 20 million years, this island evolved without input from the rest of the planet. No mainland species arriving to compete, to interbreed, to interrupt. Just isolation. Doing what isolation does best. Creating things that look like nothing else. But that same isolation that made Socotra extraordinary is now its greatest vulnerability. Rising cyclones, driven by a changing climate, are stripping away trees that took centuries to grow. Which means some of what you're looking at right now may simply not be there for the next generation to see. The canyon, carved by water that's already gone back in the American Southwest, in Arizona, sits a place most people don't even realize is the result of violence. Antelope Canyon. Smooth, flowing walls of sandstone in shades of orange and purple, sculpted so precisely they look painted by hand. But this wasn't carved slowly. It was carved by flash floods, sudden, powerful surges of water tearing through narrow sandstone corridors over thousands of years, each flood shaving away just a little more, a little smoother, a little more impossible. Stand inside it at midday, when a single beam of sunlight cuts down through a narrow opening above, and you're standing inside a structure built entirely by forces that no longer exist in that exact form. Every one of these places, it turns out, shares something in common, and it's not what you'd expect. What they all have in common: a mirrored salt flat, alien stone pillars, a coral reef that outlived an ice age, a sky that moves, a tree that bleeds, a canyon carved by water that's already gone. None of these places were built for us. None of them were designed to be beautiful. They simply happened, slowly, violently, patiently. Over spans of time, the human mind isn't built to fully grasp. And maybe that's exactly why they affect us the way they do. Because for one brief moment, standing in front of something that took millions of years to become what it is, you're forced to feel exactly how small and how lucky you actually are. We started by asking what it takes for a place to leave a permanent mark on someone. And the answer, it turns out, isn't the view itself. It's the reminder that comes with it. That the world was already spectacular, long before any of us arrived to witness it. That it will likely remain spectacular long after we're gone. And that we just happen to exist in the small, narrow window of time where we get to see it at all. Some of these places are already changing. Some may not look the same in 20 years. Which means the real question was never, what are the world's most beautiful places? It was always, how many of them will you let yourself actually see while you still can?